There's only one place to learn the latest. There's only one place to hear the greatest. There's only one place for your information. It's the Off Book Podcast.
What?
Off Book Podcast.
Okay.
Podcast.
It's the No other hosts like me. Come check it out. You'll see.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome to Off Book. We have hit our marks and we are ready to go. I am Ngozi Anyanwu.
I am Jason Vesey.
And I'm Kim Exum. Still struggling.
Yes, you are. No, it's getting better every time.
I know. I was like, and yeah.
You made it.
Listen, it's hard out here. It's hard. I make noises when I do things, so I was just like, shit. Anyway,
You did good. It's getting better every time.
Thank
Hey,
you.
y'all.
Hey,
Welcome back,
Hey.
Jason.
thanks for having me again.
Yes. Again and again.
Oh,
With your bougie
And
ass tea.
It's like I'm just joking. Just joking.
Look at this Caucasian
Oh my god.
T-ball.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, how do I get rid of this? Oh, there we go. Do you have like a favorite mug or something?
Yeah, I like this one. It's just Godiva, but it's big. That's why I
Mm.
like it.
Mm.
And I have one that's in New York that is
You
a
right.
mug that has printed on it a little message that my mom made for me when I was born.
Mm. That's sweet. That is cute. It is cute. What did you do this week, Jason?
This week I chilled, but then this weekend, Friday, was a really cool like theater type weekend. I did a seminar for my alma mater's high school day, which is like one of their big audition days. Typically, it's where all of the prospective students come and audition for the program, and they take classes and things like that, and it culminates in a student performance of the spring musical at that time.
Okay.
But this year they just had a bunch of like webinar series, things like that. So I got to do a talk back with Tony nominee Beth Malone.
Okay. Okay.
Because she went to my alma mater.
Okay.
So her and I. And then later that evening, a student-run production company called Operation Cheesecake, they do this thing called listening parties.
Mhm.
So they did a listening party of Strange Loop, and the majority of the cast was there. So it was really cool to like watch this screen of like POC kids, and like so many, much more than when I was there,
Mm-hmm.
geek out over all these friends and colleagues, and me to be able to bridge the gap from being one of those kids to like bringing this piece that they are obsessed with. And it was cool. It was really cool.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, I love that. I love that.
It was fun.
How I literally sit up here for an hour and forget
The whole setup.
Forget the whole setup. I was sitting here like, why do I sound like that? That's why I sound
Remember to sit close.
like that.
You love a good
Hey,
close up.
Miss DC.
I
Hey, girl.
Kim, how was your week?
Yeah.
How was your week? What did you do?
What did I do this week? I shot something.
Mhm.
Like some stills actually for like a commercial thingy, but I can't say anything about it, so I don't know why I just said that. Anyway, what else did I do this week? I mothered and I
Every day, all day?
self-taped. And I had some meetings, and like I'm in the whole like this club for Color Girls on Clubhouse thing,
Mhm.
and did like rehearsal for that. To which I was like, let me say, like I pride myself on like being able to remember stuff, being able to be like on time, whatever. I was an hour late to this rehearsal because I literally took a nap with Ezzy and did not wake up until actually I was an hour and a half late. I didn't wake up until 7:30. Rehearsal started at 6. I came into the rehearsal like Sorry, guys. I have no excuse. I'm sorry for disrespecting the space via Zoom, but like, my bad. Like,
Wow.
I didn't do it on purpose. I just fell asleep.
Are you? Do you know if you're the only one who is currently casting a Broadway show that was an hour and a half late?
Oh, I'm the only one.
Okay, so great.
I'm the only
example that you're
one.
setting for-
I know, right? And then, of course, like when they're having the rehearsal, I'm thinking they're like doing a read through or something. No, they're talking about their lives. So, of course, like I'm on for maybe 10 minutes before she's like, oh, okay, so Kim, tell us about like your life and what you're doing for the pandemic. I was like, yeah, so I was on Broadway and
Don't know if you've
during
heard
the
of it.
pandemic, I've been doing commercials and I live in New York City and I'm
Right,
super
right.
privileged. Like that's essentially,
And, you're
and
an
I'm
hour and a
so
half late.
happy to be here. Like, so I came out, I was like, damn, I was so stressed. I was like, why? I feel like I'm coming off like an asshole and I'm
You're
trying
like, I was
to.
an hour and a half late and I was on Broadway.
Yes, I was just like, I was an hour and a half late. I have no excuse. I was just super tired, which is an excuse. I love to do that. I'd be like, I have no excuse. I was just so tired. Like, that's an excuse. I should just say, like, I had no excuse. But anyway, yeah, so that was my week. And just, yeah. Did I go outside at all? Oh, yeah, I got a hair. Oh, I dyed my hair today. That was it. So, yeah, basic week.
Beautiful. What did I do? I did a lot of self tapes. This week was self tapes. Even today, I'm like, I gotta do a self tape after this because now they're like 9 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'm like, no, they're not. They're not due that time. You know what I mean? Like they're not. But
No, I'm always
I'm
like,
gonna
can
turn-
we extend? Because
right, I'm always kind of video extension, but I actually stopped doing I stopped doing that. Like I bothered my reps to like add on some people to my team. So I've been trying to be early and like, you know, and I have been like in the process. I remember behind the table when we were casting for things and we would be in producer's call while people were still sending in their first tapes.
Oh wow.
Oh, wow.
You know what I mean? So like, cause people would be turning really great tapes in early. And so I was like, all right, let me see what this early life is giving. Cause I have the time, you know what I mean?
From the other side of the table, do you think it's an advantage to getting it in early?
If it's good, absolutely.
gotta be.
Sure.
If it's a good
you
tape,
set the bar,
some people
right?
rush it. You do. You set the bar. I remember. I won't say on the project because that project is gone, but I won't talk about. But I'll just say on that project, there's one. It was a part. It was like one of the lead male parts, and we had such a hard time. But like our best guy came in like day 2.
Cool.
You know, and it was a long process, and so everybody was measured against that person.
Wow.
And that person ended up. It took a long time to decide on him, but literally it was like, well, that's 2
good
people.
to know.
It was like, that's our guy. So it depends if you can send in some really good material. And like, if you are a great auditioner, like, you know, and he was off book too. Like these people are coming in for long sides the next day off book or on teleprompter,
Listen,
whatever
the
that is.
off
Right.
book
But like
thing-
not being with the thing on their hand, like
That's the
knowing the
thing.
material. Yeah, it is.
I
People think
was
it's not a
doing
thing,
some
but it
reading
is.
for a friend, and they were like, oh, you know, I did reading for 2 friends this week who got things kind of last minute or like, you know, life happens and we can't always commit. And I was just like, oh, you need to tape those lines up. Then they were like, does it really matter? I said, yeah. I said, listen, I'm not a memorizer. I be trying to memorize shit, but I tape it up. I never hold it anymore. I'm like, because they expect you now. They think that you're at home doing this. We're actually you're home like.
Correct.
I feel like I have less time now. I'm like, but that's what they think. So I was like, tape them up, teleprompt it. I was like, you don't even have, it doesn't even seem like I know we're like focal points, this and this and this. But I feel like you can flub it a little bit. Like if you can act your way out and back into a focal point because your sides are taped, you're like,
There's tricks.
I feel like there's tricks. It's like, why not hold it up? You know, because they're none the wiser. You know, they probably are like, I'm sure that half of these motherfuckers are not, you know, memorized. But yeah,
Right.
it really does make a difference, I think, in the presentation of your tape.
It absolutely does. Because people are really coming in, I'm telling you, beats.
Beats.
Prepared.
Yeah.
you know, like when that thing was just like, as soon as that call was put out, they're ready. They might have gotten those scripts early. Like, who knows? You know what I'm saying? People be leaking stuff. So people are really out here. I know people who, I don't suggest this for people to do this, but like having gotten an audition for things, will hear about auditions for things, find it on like Actors Access and like send it to the casting director anyway. Do you know what I mean? So like people are really out here like trying to book jobs and being fully prepared. So, but yeah, so it was a lot of like wigs and hair and different makeup. And the last audition I have to do tonight is like requires me to I get to be me. So the hair is out, the lipstick is gone, but the makeup is still, the eyebrows are still together. So yeah.
That's the best. Like when you get to do yourself, like I love looking at stuff and I'm like, oh, this is easy because I can just, this is stuff that I would totally say out at the side of my neck. You know, I like when stuff is like worded in such a way that it really aligns with who I am. As opposed to like, you know, like I know the gist of what they're saying, but like when, especially when it's quick, I feel like I'm trying to memorize it and it ends up coming out like my language, even though that's not what's on the page, which I think is okay depending on the character. But like, yeah, like when it's just like, I don't know, a little more proper than I am, I think sometimes I have trouble like translating that into what I'm doing.
Yeah, I literally auditioned for myself last week. Like in the breakdown, it said first generation Nigerian American New York playwright. And I bet you I didn't book that shit. But it literally said, I'm like, is this me? Did someone? Literally,
was
it said
Jocelyn writing this? Who else?
No,
who was writing this?
I do not know. It literally said first generation Nigerian American playwright. I said, there's only like 2 of us in New York.
Ngozi.
And I didn't book it.
Kim
What?
I actually am on hold for it. They asked me what I was doing during the date. And you know, I gave them my best Nigerian accent.
First book of Mormon, now this. Colorism.
Indeed, and I benefit from it.
Keeping every last dime.
I literally said, should I stop acting if I don't book myself? Like if I don't get this part that is me, should I just stop? And then I read the lines, and then I literally like, this is literally me. It was literally like me being like, so like,
someone
like me? Why do you like me? I literally, the lines were like, I was like,
is there a camera in this bitch? And there's literally a white man behind a curtain, like
the mic.
Not the boom.
And I still didn't book that shit. So I'm contemplating what I should do with my life at this moment, but you know, we're gonna be all right.
You know, I think that's how Titus felt when everyone was going in. Everyone was going in for the role of Titus on
everyone.
We were like, so do y'all know our friend? He's
like, this is me. Oh, let me put some of these comments up. Thank you. I tried. I'm watching a lot of Drag Race.
That's why she forgot about that damn mic and sound.
That's why I forgot about the mic because I was like, you know, giving face. But I'm watching a lot of Drag Race, so I'm like, let me put some makeup on and give these girls a laugh. Oh yes, come on. And Ngozi's light is really giving. It is, and this brown actually.
Thank you.
This
like
brown
me. This is self-tape lighting. You won't always get it, so you guys gotta enjoy the glamour when you get it. Like soak it up. It's Women's History Month. We're glowing.
I like that you're using a brown background.
Thank you.
I love that. I think it's really unique and it brings out like your skin, which is interesting because I feel like if I stood in front of a white background, it wouldn't do the same for me.
Perhaps yellow?
I'm actually gonna. There's a brown background in my parents' house. I'm actually gonna try that and see what happens.
You should try it.
See what happens.
Oh, I have to post this. I do. I do book. I am now a booking nigga again.
So do we call you Professor Exum? Get it, Professor
What is
Exum?
going? Why is Professor Exum? Yes,
because the books. Because she books.
Because I
what was that comment that popped up on?
I didn't mean to show that. That's Cece over here.
Cece I'm gonna need Jason to book
Jason to
something
book
so Drew
something.
Shade can return to the
Oh,
throne.
Jason's a booking nigga as well. I just want to make that clear. He might show up
Miss
on
CC,
Sunday,
hi.
but Miss CC, he's booked Monday through Saturday. He's only free on Sundays.
Damn.
Yes. Here,
Welcome to
look.
CC's world,
Girl,
Jason.
Jason is
Welcome to
here.
CC's
L.
world.
Morgan. Jason is always booking. He's got multiple TV show moments out right now. I want to say it in El Morgan's voice, but I can't. Girl, Jason is always booking. He's got multiple TV show moments out right now. I can't.
Nigga, that is Maggie Smith. That is not El Morgan. You just gave me Maggie Smith. El Morgan, don't be offended. Don't be offended. She doesn't book because of her dialect practice. Yeah? Don't be offended by that.
Cece does like to mess with us.
Cece is our personal heckler, Jason. Welcome. You've gotten a taste of her. You've gotten a taste of her. Now you're part of the group.
Now I feel official.
Yeah. If Cece hasn't come for you, yes. If Cece hasn't come for you, then you have not arrived.
Look,
I
it feels
can't.
like a kiss on the cheek.
Not Maggie Smith. So maybe El Morgan should do a Maggie Smith.
I don't know that that's what that means. I think that means you need to be better at your impression of El Morgan. I think that that's what that means. Not that she needs to adjust, right? Not that El Morgan needs to adjust. She's perfect the way she is. You need to figure out
Lord.
your dialect practice. Yes,
I can't do it. It's just so it's like floats.
it's light.
Oh,
She's got a light.
flute.
Yeah, she's got a light sound.
Not English accent.
We have
But
to have you on, I think, so that you
But
can
Maggie
give us
Smith-
what you're giving, because she's giving us light. Huh?
Yeah, always.
Yeah. Yes.
Maggie Smith is y'all stay trying to age me.
Oh,
feel
okay.
like I
We need to
was-
leave
I
her
feel
alone.
like-
We need to leave her alone.
I feel like it was more Julia, like, even though, like, it was like, I don't know, because Maggie Smith's voice isn't high per se.
It's like
just giving
shaky.
Yeah.
It's shaky.
It's bordering on like Katharine Hepburn tease almost.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
that's what I always border. I'm always bordering
Katharine Hepburn tease.
Catherine Hepburn. Always. I can't imagine casting. You know what it's giving? I don't want to say this. That might sound crazy, but it's kind of giving borderline Katharine Hepburn tease. Everyone's like, yes. We were all
That's
thinking
not
the
good.
same thing. Anyway.
And Guzzi, please keep us moving on.
Okay. We moved on. Oh goodness. Or Cece will come for us all. I think now it is time to move
It's time
on.
for Hot Topics?
It's time for Hot Topics. Do you want to give us a little theme song magic or what?
Oh my God. I'm going to try. All right. 5, 6, 7, 8.
We love to talk about so much shit, so now it's time for Hot Topics.
Yay! I
Ooh.
did it without a hitch.
We're proud of you. So even though we're theater people, there's no theater. So we're gonna start with some movies.
Theater is dead.
Theater's dead. And so are our careers. But we're gonna perhaps do movies, and let's talk about some movie people. Billie Holiday. Did we see the Holiday? Did we see Miss Andrew Day as Billie Holiday?
Yes.
I see her every day. I look in the mirror. Andra, is that you? Anyway,
Is that what happens? You're on one today. I appreciate
that's
it.
what happened. That's why I didn't watch the film.
It was too triggering.
I felt like it was happening to me.
Yeah,
But anyway,
yeah.
y'all talk-
She was fucking phenomenal.
Fucking good, man. I think I said this last week. I love nothing more than like a breakout debut performance. I love like witnessing like the birth of something, and just like the attack, the aplomb, also I just love that now there is something to kind of smash our connection between Billie Holiday being dramatized on film, because up until this point all we have is Diana.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think that happens a lot where we connect, our consciousness connects the actor doing that performance to the reality of who the person is.
Sure.
Like I was one time in an audition for the stage version of One Night in Miami for Malcolm X, and the director was just like, "Great, I'm going to give you a note that I've been actually giving to everybody, so don't think that it's you. But when you go home, please do some more research and watch actual clips of Malcolm X." And I was like, "Well, what's going on?" He's just like, "Well, it seems like everyone's consciousness, everyone's coming in doing Denzel as Malcolm X, and
Interesting.
not doing Malcolm X."
Interesting.
And I was like, "Fascinating."
Yeah.
You're right.
That makes sense.
So I
Yeah,
think
it
that like
does.
that, like, because I remember when she first got cast, people were kind of like, "Hers, Billie Holiday." I'm like, well,
She was
it
like,
is
she
what
looks like her.
she does. I mean, more than
But maybe because she's mostly known as a singer though,
as a
also.
singer.
Yeah.
Yes,
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, and not like necessarily known as an actor. Do you know what I mean? So
Right, but-
you're kind of like, just because she sings, does that mean that it's going to translate? But
Translate. And I also think it's one of those things where because she went to high school with a lot of people that are in the community. So I think that she has theatrical roots. It's just that one could have happened before the other.
Sure,
at
sure.
a point in time.
Right, where the singing
She's
just took
also
off for her.
she's also a dancer. She's taken extensive amounts of dance training. And I think singing, it's said in her bio that like she's been singing, of course, since she was a young kid, but I think she's been very much like a Lion Babe, like just been in the arts for her whole entire life and just focused on this one aspect of it because it probably just brought her so much joy. And yeah, I mean, I want to see it. Really, I really want to see it. I really want to watch myself win an Oscar. So.
I thought she was outstanding.
Yeah, she was really beautiful. She was really beautiful. It was really beautiful to see, actually, and because it was also kind of raw and at times also a little like everywhere in a way that like in a shiny kind of movie, you know what I mean? And that you don't actually really get to see those type of performances. So it's one of my favorite performances. I don't think the film necessarily supports her performance.
I agree.
So that's also where it's like, this is interesting, where like an actress can get a lot of attention that I don't know the film is going to get. Usually it's always like hand in hand, but
there's a perfect example of that. A white version of example.
Yes, I mean, yeah, because
that's how I feel about the movie Elizabeth with Cate Blanchett. The movie, not so much. Kate as Elizabeth,
epic, right?
You know?
Right. So I'm interested to see if this sort of if that train keeps going and if she keeps getting that sort of attention for that. And I'm excited for it because it was just a really, like it was cool to watch. Like I felt like this season has been a lot of like really actory performances, and so it was great to see a Black female actory performance. And I don't think I've seen it really this season. I might be wrong when I'm thinking of like the films are mostly. It feels like the conversation has mostly been about male actors.
Yeah.
And so it's nice to see like a Black woman like who's really like tearing up the scenery in a really cool way. I hope I'm not forgetting one, but I probably am.
I also love the fact that now at this point in time, Billie Holiday, through the ancestry or whatever, has now provided us with 3 iconic performances of herself: Diana, Audra, and Andra.
True. And so it's great that all these women have really done really gorgeous performances of her.
Yeah.
And all probably, I'm sure everyone expected Diana to serve because she was a superstar, but in ways that like I did not expect Audra to be as amazing as she was, right?
Sure.
Even just vocally, I was like, she sounds like, what is this? You know what I mean?
Right.
And then even Andra. So it's really cool that like this is interesting, right? We're like a big sort of iconic person in the music community or the Black community is getting that has all these different versions of biopics and is getting all these really beautiful performances, which is also why I'm like, oh, it's really interesting, the idea of like, you can tell different sides of someone's story, if it's an iconic person. So I'm really for them as long as like, we're all doing the work, do the work to do it. But it's really cool. Yeah. Next movie, Coming to America 2.
I also didn't see that.
Okay. I saw that. Okay. Well,
I'm sorry. I just haven't had any time.
There's times where I'm like, there are moments where I'm like, I don't know what anyone's talking about. I don't know who these actors are. I don't know what show you're all talking about. So this is just Kim's time. This is Kim's time.
Myself.
What did you think, Jason?
I loved it because I also went in just thinking that it was going to be exactly what it was, a sentimental love letter to fans who love the movie. I don't think I expected it to be, I guess maybe I thought it, if anything, I expected it to maybe be to feel like a different entity. I like when they can stand on their own. Like I would love it if like, but that's an expectation. It would be like really, I didn't feel like if someone had not seen Coming to America, that they would still only want to watch Coming to America by itself without watching and going back to watch the first one. And I feel like you need to go back and watch the first one for sure. But I also just loved watching all these people look fantastic and show back up, and some of the new additions and you know, some of the familiar sets and things like that. I just thought it was going to be, I wasn't expecting it to be some sort of life-changing thing. Just a fun, great reunion disguised as a movie. But I thought the costume was great. I thought that, you know, I am wondering, and I knew I wasn't crazy, but I was like, how are these men in the barbershop still alive?
Don't you go for continuity.
That is my biggest, I keep asking that. I haven't seen it, but I'm like, how are these men still with us? Especially because Black men typically do not have a longer life expectancy, like, you know, statistically, especially
they do when a white person directed the movie.
I'm like,
don't you Blacks live forever?
Like, I was just like, these men were knocking on death's door back then, and they're still with us. Like, but whatever. But that was like my first thought. I was like, how the fuck are these people still alive? But
I really wanted them to turn around and have Cuba Gooding Jr. in the chair in the barbershop.
As did I. I'm like, if we're pulling out all these stops, pull out all these stops.
You know, he probably said no.
He probably did say no. He was like, I need a bigger check than that. And they're like, it ain't that deep.
Hell no.
Like, you're not getting that.
Yeah, you're not.
Y'all treat me
now.
like shit on this movie.
Yeah, exactly. I know they probably. Oh, that's true. That's probably true. Yeah, I did it. I smiled, I think, during most of it, but I was like, oh, this wasn't good. Like,
I am also enjoying. I'm enjoying the thoughts that it's the conversation. I've read. Some people are really upset, and then I've read the thing about, you know, some people are upset at other people because they're wanting too much from the film, and then Justice for yes. Yeah,
I was curious about like all those reunions, and I was like, okay, I don't understand why you're bringing these people back who weren't in the film that I don't remember, and then you can't bring them all back. And then I was like, we're still making the same offensive jokes, and then I was just kind of like, what?
The sister won't in the movie?
No.
Is she dead? Because
That's
that seems to be the only reason why I wouldn't have her back. She was one of the best parts of the film.
I thought
you thought she died,
or she's not dead. Maybe she's not doing so well.
Oh, deep.
Oh, damn.
It happens.
I mean, it does happen. Yeah, I just felt like they like did it. They had a fun time with like the let's bring people back, but they didn't have a fun time with like let's make the script good.
Yes.
Like it was like we can bring people back for really fun reasons. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it was just kind of like, don't forget this. It just, I don't know. It just didn't feel actual. It felt, am I going to say it? It felt fucking lazy. So,
we know where it was filmed. So
it was on Rick Ross's house. It was from the
Rick Ross's house and at Tyler Perry Studios.
That mansion is Rick Ross's house.
The outside of it?
In Jersey.
Yes.
Wait, Rick Ross lives in Jersey? I thought he lived in like Miami or something.
I believe it's Jersey.
Wait.
Someone get Jeremy Gatson on the phone.
Okay, they said she died.
She died.
Oh, how did she die?
Deep.
Let me Google sister.
So I did read a think piece.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually wasn't a think piece. It was just pondering a question bringing up the idea that African Americans are buying into or playing into or furthering stereotypes of Africa.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't going in. It was just pondering a question.
And some
people responded really really passionately to that,
Mhm.
thinking that people were thinking too much. But I liked thinking about that.
I mean, as an African, I'm going to speak for every single one of them
Please do.
right now. No, I'll speak for myself. But no, I just felt like I was hesitant about them doing a Coming to America too. Like that is one of my favorite movies, obviously
Yeah.
growing up, right? And I understand the problematic nature of like when you do like make jokes about Africa, but like I don't know an African who doesn't love the first film, right? Like,
Right.
but mostly it's because like I don't know an African who doesn't love Eddie Murphy, right? So like that was of a certain time, and I just feel like there are certain ways that you could have updated it, right? Based off of the conversations now that we've had, right? Again, revival, retouch, whatever that I go, if you're going to go into Coming to America too, if you're going to go here, there are first generation Africans that you could have had fuck with you on that script. Do you know what I mean? Like, and like, or whatever, like there are ways that you could have bridged that. And I think when I watched them in some ways trying to attempt that, it was again, just kind of like a obtuse stroke of attempting that with like not good jokes. So for me, I'm not particularly offended by, like, I think that the line between comedy and offense is a really thin line. So I think because it wasn't really that good, I can absolutely see how it's completely offensive to Africans, because we don't have a lot of things in the mainstream media that depicts us at all. So whenever we're made fun of, but I didn't think that this movie was making fun of us. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you have a bunch of people playing Africans who could not do a dialect, right? Like, and there were maybe two Africans actually in the film, right? One barely spoke and one is Michael Blackson. And not gonna lie, I was very happy to see him. That was quite hilarious, right? So there are ways that like, I'm like, that shit was hilarious. But also like, I'm like, he's from Philly. So like, you know what I mean? He's African like I'm African. Yeah, he's African like I'm African, you know? So like, there are ways that I think that they actually could have gone further and funnier with that, with our divide, with what brings us together. And I just feel like they could have actually like really like, I don't know, like really milked it. And I don't think that I just think they didn't do that. They really kept it, they really kept it like lowest common denominator comedy. They really kept it very basic. And I think they really could have, I just really think they could have like, I really think they could have like made more effort and up the ante with the comedy in that way, but it wasn't for me.
Right.
Exactly. It wasn't for like, it wasn't for Africans. It was for people who love Coming to America, essentially.
She's not dead, y'all. I just want to say that she's
not. Yeah.
No, she is not dead. This is just like in the 90s when they killed Pam from Martin. Do y'all remember that?
I don't remember that.
Have I brought that up before?
I remember them killing.
So she's not dead.
She's not dead. When I was in school, I remember they had a rumor like that Pam from Martin had got AIDS and died. And I lied to you not. That was I swear, when I was like in middle school, I think that was the rumor that she got AIDS and died. And she did neither. So Allison Dean is her name. She's still in the land of the living. They just didn't ask her.
Damn.
All right. That's all I have. Let me go back to mute.
Yeah. Elle Morgan said, Allison, Lisa's sister, is still alive. She's got something in post-production. Yes.
Yeah. So I just saw that on the IMDb.
Elle Morgan
was right on the same page.
I love it. But yeah, so that's them's the movies, them's the biz. But okay. I did smile throughout the movie. So I'm like, I smiled. And like, yeah. That's good. I know some people who are furious, and I'm just kind of like, I did not. Yeah, because they thought it was going to be amazing. I'm like, this is like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman did not look good, so don't think it's going to be good. And so like, it didn't look good. So like, don't think you're going to get something that's going to, I don't know. But at the same time, if you don't like it. Come to America
work.
One is astounding. Is astounding.
I mean, it's amazing, but even now, that style wouldn't work now.
Yeah,
it wouldn't work.
The reason why it's amazing is because it encapsulates that 80s comedy that was happening during that period, and Eddie Murphy's just like pathway to superstardom. Now that stuff doesn't really work. And also, like, y'all, look at the casting. Like, in what world? It just, anytime I think they go balls to the wall, you just pack that shit with stars, it never really comes off like good. I don't expect to be good. I do expect to enjoy myself when I watch it.
Yeah.
Because
you may or may not. which you may or may not. So
yeah.
yeah, it's true. I think I know people were like, "Meh, I'm mad I watched it," who loved the first movie, and I know people were like, "No, I had a good time." I don't know people who are like, "I'm livid."
I also always feel like, okay, if there are decades in between an original and a sequel, you need to set yourself up for your heart and your head. Don't go in there expecting something from 1980. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Is it giving like Sex in the City 2 tease? Like just like girl.
No, it's not. No,
it's not.
Okay, good. Even though I still watch that movie. And it's trash. That movie is trash, gutter trash. But I still watch it because I love the franchise. So I appreciate it being in the canon. It's like we have unlimited budget. We now have no imagination. Our jobs are finished because we have so much money that there's no imagination to be had.
And I think that might have been the case here, but the money went not to Morocco, but it went to the actors.
Yes.
It went to like the cameos. You know what I mean? As opposed like it went to Wesley Snipes, who was giving it to you. I was like, how is Wesley Snipes coming up in here with like beautiful dialect and like, you know,
he's an actor, darling.
He's an actor. He's always an actor. So
I also feel like clearly Eddie Murphy is also a huge fan of Wesley Snipes because Wesley's material in Dolomite was also exceptional.
Yes. Wesley's great. They're homies. I love it.
And he doesn't get his just due because of all that shit that happened with his taxes. The white people like blacklisted him or some shit. That's what it seems like.
Also, too, you know, he did box out Halle Berry, and is the reason why she's deaf in her left ear. So
yeah. There's also some domestic violence. He was
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was a menace to society. But moving right along. So
New Jack City. Okay.
Yeah. So he's humbled himself. Speaking of humbling ourselves, apparently last week, the Golden Globes happened. I didn't, watch them. People won. Black people won.
Mm-hmm. And I think they definitely were kind of just like, "Oh, we're getting in trouble again by the black people. Just give all the awards."
Yes. So they gave them
just.
Right. I would talk about it more, but I didn't watch. I don't care, and you can Google it, right?
We do know.
We did talk about one of the winners. We talked about Andra Day.
Yeah,
we talked about Andra Day. There you go.
My future husband won as well. Daniel.
Which one's your future husband?
Daniel.
Okay. We love Daniel. Okay, we're in first name basis. He's like, where's the mic? Where's the mic? He's like, shut me down. There's some technical difficulties, and it was quite charming. Where's the mic? He's like, oh, you do me dirty. So that's my
accent for me.
Yeah. So we love him. I think he's the only Black Brit that people love, and I love him.
It's because he's kind of hood.
Is that why?
I feel like we love John Boyega too. Do we not?
Oh, we do love John Boyega. We do.
Is that
we do?
Okay.
We also love Idris or Idris. I don't know how he actually says his name.
I don't know how to say.
Idris or Idris. I think it's probably Idris in real life.
When
like,
I love them.
You think that's
American Gangster back in 2006? He said Idris.
Oh,
Idris. He said Idris. Okay,
I think it's Idris. But yeah, people won. Google it. Awards don't deem your worth, so we're moving on. We're moving on to Saycon Say Blue. Can I get $1? Because apparently you're going to be a series regular on the new Wonder Years. That's pretty exciting. So Saycon Sanglo is to star in the ABC reboot of the Wonder Years. Has found their mom. Saycon Sanglo has been cast as an ABC single camera comedy pilot from Dave executive producer Saladin Patterson. The original series is to starred Fred Savage, and the Empire co-creator is Lee Daniels. So that's pretty exciting. The reboot, it looks like the Williamses, a Black middle class family in Montgomery, Alabama, in the turbulent late 1960s, made sure it was the Wonder Years for them too.
So, first of all, I want to.
Jason, move in.
I just want to make this centric. Can you hear me better?
Yes, we love you close.
Yeah.
We love you close.
I want to make this Saycon centric, so I'm thrilled I've enjoyed her career. I think she's earned it, and she's going to be fantastic. As someone who was an 80s child in love with the Wonder Years, I'm not someone who always needs a reboot of every fucking thing that I came out when I was fucking 6, 7, 8, 9. So I don't think it's necessary, but I'm extremely happy that, we don't care. We don't care. But I'm extremely happy that this particular actress is about to be on a platform where people will be able to see her. I'm super happy for her about that.
Yeah, so I'm excited about that. I think Seikan's awesome. I think she's been, a lot of you don't know, her roots are in musical theater and theater. You can see her Black Alphabet on YouTube for days. Her voice is made out of chocolate.
It is.
She's been in Eclipsed on Broadway. She's got multiple
nominated for a Tony.
She's got multiple theater creds. And she, in the last few years, have been making her way in the TV game. And I think this is maybe her first series, or maybe big, I think, series regular.
Big one, yeah.
And this is a team of love that we all love her. She's a pretty incredible person. And I think this is going to be great. I do think, like, when it comes to this reboot hustle, this is like the writer and the person who knows how the sausage is made. I'm always like, well, that sounds like nothing to do with the Wonder Years, but it's like you just get to like use the moniker. You know what I mean? So I'm just kind of like, why do they have? So those things are just interesting. But I do know that Chris Savage is a part of it. Maybe the format or what have you. So I
know like the first episode of the Wonder Years is like their neighbor dies in Vietnam. So I heard about this pilot. I heard that in the pilot, this has nothing to do with my job, so I'm just gonna say it. I heard that in the pilot, like it's like Martin Luther King dies or something. Like that's the basis.
That's the start.
That's the starting. So it's similar because like in the original, you're dealing with, oh my God, there's a kid from my neighborhood who everyone thinks is so awesome, and he goes to war and he fucking dies. And then in this one, it's Black centric, even though Black people went to fucking Vietnam too and died.
I mean,
a lot.
Like my dad always tells me about, like, he was like, oh yeah, they pulled my number. And he was like, and thankfully, like, because he was like, I don't know what I was going to do. He was like, all I knew is that I did not want to go into where the TV was to die. Because he was like, so many people just were like, they would go, they would die. And then you see people getting blown up on TV every night. Why would you expect anyone to, no one? It's interesting because it's like, we were talking about my grandfather wanting to go to World War II, but he couldn't because he had a bum leg that he had an injury when he was young. So like they wanted to go to World War II, but no one was like, sign me up, coach. I'm going to get blown up in Vietnam, So anyway, the Wonder Years, I think it's just going to follow like, it's like a parallel. I wonder if you could watch them like if I could watch season 1 Wonder Years, season 1 the new reboot. Right. I'm expecting good writing from this because that's just a staple to me of the Wonder Years, of it's like capturing that essence, that adolescence into teen. Like I think it's
I mean, they're doing single camera, which is a good sign, because I was like, oh, I don't want them to like fuck up the tones, and having, I think, Fred Savage, who's now a grown up and has been directing for TV now for a while, and executive producing TV shows for a while. So, and he's, he was the kid star of that TV show and grew into that show. So I'm hoping that mix, you know what I mean, of like knowing the aesthetic and knowing the sort of foundation of it, and then like. I think Lee can be sort of hit or miss, but I think if we're going into that period of time, and I know that he loves that period of time, freedom writers, all that type of thing, that there's something that could really, I think it's got potential. So I'm excited about it. And I want to err on the side of like, especially since ABC does not greenlight all their pilots. They don't. They will take.
They'd be like, make it, throw it in the trash.
Because there is room to show a parallel universe with nuance, particularly. It's like, when we talk about the of the vets and the black people going to war, if they don't die, they're still coming back and they're still niggers. So
they're fucked up. They're on heroin and shit. That's an interesting study. Like, I know that I'm on a slight tangent. This is just one random fact about drug addiction and heroin. So many guys over in Vietnam, like, they used heroin all the fucking time, like all the time. And when they got back overseas, they just stopped. It's like some crazy percentage of them stopped, like 70 or 80% of them just stopped their drug use when they came back overseas. And it just says something about the nature of addiction, which is a whole other conversation. But I always thought that was an interesting fact. Yeah. Do y'all think that they should keep the theme song or choose a new one?
I think they
'Cause-
should choose a new one.
New one.
Okay, a new one, like
Actually,
more
I
black
can't-
centric.
They're gonna. It's Lee
I want
Daniels.
the same
He likes
one.
Negroes. No, he likes black people. He wants it.
Oh,
That is an incredible song.
It's
That is
so
an
good.
incredible song. So maybe
But
you might get a black version. I don't know, but you might get Nina Simone. You might get.
There are some other songs that do a similar thing from that time period that also are more steeped in black culture that I think would be really great. I also am very fascinated and hoping that they do the same trope of narration. So I want to know who's going to be the voice of the adult.
Oh, good call.
I think that might have been on the thing. I don't remember. I don't remember. I didn't go in for this at all. I just knew about this thing, but I think that might have chosen the person. But I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. Anyway, I'm rooting for it.
We're rooting for you. We're rooting for Saycon. Saycon, let me hold $1 since you got money now.
Please.
Speaking of let me hold $1 and making $1 out of 15 cents, Piano Lesson is coming to Broadway, and the film with apparently the same cast, starring so far Danielle Brooks, Samuel L. Jackson, and John David Washington. Let's see. Following its Broadway. Following its Broadway run, the same cast will star in the film adaptation, making it the third Wilson's Pittsburgh cycle plays to be adapted as a movie, following Fences and Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Piano Lesson is set in 1936 Pittsburgh and follows the lives of the Charles family as they deal with themes of family legacy and more in deciding what to do with an heirloom, the family piano. Set to direct is LaTanya Richardson Jackson. And that is that.
Sure, that's the movie cast. I would like to see a different cast Broadway, because if I'm going to watch the Broadway cast, why the hell do I want to see the movie? But I guess for most people, they just want to see stars all the time. But I'm just like, I see Danielle Brooks everywhere. I see John David Washington's up and coming. So I'm not going to say like I see him everywhere, but I saw that movie and I didn't like him in the movie. So whatever. You know, that's neither here nor there. Like, maybe he would be great in this. I don't know. But I'm like, why can't we, like, I don't know, like, just so star-centric. Like, and maybe it has to do with the pandemic.
Capitalism.
Capitalism. And they do cast the Black plays with celebrities all the time. Mm-hmm. But, like, why do I need I just don't like the duplication. Like, if you were going to have John David, I think it would be great for John David Washington to be in the Piano Lesson and have his little Broadway debut. I think that would be awesome, you know, to see him exercise his chops there. But like Danielle's already been, Sam Jackson has already been, right? Yeah, Sam Jackson's already been, Denzel has been, you know, like whatever. But maybe it'll be stellar. Maybe it'll be great.
I'm actually more. I love the Piano Lesson, and I'm also, you know, it was. This is part of a plan for them to, you know, make it all of them into a film. I love that Danielle is going to be playing Bernice.
I'm excited for that because I haven't seen her do like a lead in a play really. Since she, besides What to Do, but that's not the same thing. Like, she was great in that, but I'm just kind of like, I think I'm of two minds with the star stuff because, you know, as an artist or as an actor, this is kind of your dream, right? This is your hope. Your hope is that you get to a place of whatever, where you get to play these, where people are now getting to give you these great fucking roles. You know what I mean? True. And you start off whatever, and then like, yeah, you want to be kind of handed, these really beautiful roles that, like, you know, you've always dreamed of. She's at the age now where she can play Bernice, you know, and like, if she wasn't a star, she would not be considered, you know what I mean, to get to do this on Broadway. There's
still a world, honestly, where I'm actually happy that she was even in the running, because there's still a world where she, depending on the producer, she might not have been in the running for that. I also think that just because I think Piano Lesson is great because depending on who you talk to, but in terms of the roles that August Wilson wrote for women, it is the only one where she is the lead of the show. So I'm happy about that as well.
Yeah. And as for the producing, where it's like film, that part is a little, but I'm really interested in how that's all gonna look on Broadway, because it was kind of already like that when it came to plays, unfortunately, because it's like when it came to plays, it was so it's so, like, it's, unless it's like a off Broadway to Broadway transfer where they're really trying to sort of like keep that sort of like, and it's like a scrappy play, right? Where it's from like a nonprofit, but the commercial vehicles, right, that are just, and now like all those August Wilson plays right now are owned by the company, by Denzel essentially, and whoever's producing those things. So like I remember readings being shut down of Joe Turner's because they own them, right? So that's the other problematic part of it, where it's like, I don't think you can do August Wilson on Broadway right now unless you get permission from them, and they're not doing it, right? And so even now with like LaTanya Richardson, God bless her, I don't know what she's directed, like, you know what I mean? And she's getting to direct this thing like, on Broadway because of who she is and who, her standing. And so I think fortunately or unfortunately, you're going to now see this sort of thing with that particular play. You're going to see the Hollywoodization, I think, of his work,
That's what I don't want to happen on stage.
Yeah, that's not like, super fun. Yeah.
I wonder, I guess, like what my hope is that they would do, it says Broadway and then movie, right?
Yes.
My hope is that it stays that it's Broadway first and then movie second, so that we don't get lost in translation with the piece, because it is a skill, especially to do the same piece. Like, I think that's the difficult part. Like, when you're doing it for stage, you're doing it for stage. And when you're doing a play that's turned into a movie, that's a whole different, it's a gear shift. And of course we know Sam Jackson can do it. Of course we know Denzel can do it. I have faith in Danielle. I worry about John David Washington just because of that movie that I saw and how terrible. And I mean, and this is no shade. I don't want to come for another actor, even though I do that all the time. But, it is rude to like come for another actor. But no, like that performance it was just over the fucking top for me. Like, it was just so unreal, unground. It just wasn't it. And maybe it's because of the direction and the script. But I'm like, I do worry about the I don't know. Maybe he's the only thing that's bothering me about it.
In those transitions, because with the revivals or the movie adaptation, there's always someone, whether it be an actor or the screenwriter, who has an established relationship with doing the plays of August Wilson or a connection to August Wilson. So there's always someone there that really knew what it's supposed to be and what it should be from his mouth.
Right.
There's a history of that.
That is the history of the show. I don't know the history of this show with this cast so far of what has been announced. So, you know what I mean? So I'll see, like, we'll see who else is in the cast, but my guess is that Samuel Jackson is playing Doker, and the Doker is usually the OG of the cast, right? And so like,
that would be fabulous.
You know what I mean? And so like, I think he'll be freaking great.
Whether it was on Broadway or has played Bernice a shit ton of times.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
there
yeah.
You go. So, yeah.
She's fantastic.
Yeah. So this will just be really interesting to see, like, also like to maybe not see the usual suspects, right? Because usually if Ruben Santiago Hudson is directing it, we know exactly who's going to be in that show.
Yes.
So there is sometimes, but I will say my quintessential piano lesson is his version.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's his version, but not everybody saw that. So
I do enjoy. What I really wish could happen with these films is that, because there is this ensemble of August Wilson actors where you see the same people kind of recurring if they fit. If they don't, they bring in someone else. I think it would be awesome. Yeah. It would be awesome to see them take Fences and then take the piano lesson and cultivate this ensemble of actors that we will see recurring, because I think because his work is done, and because it is canon and it is like done in like the century like cycle or whatever, it will be great to formulate those relationships as these actors grow. Because how many years is it going to take for all these films to be produced? But I think that as long as everyone stays alive, it would be cool to, see some of these films come to fruition with the same ensemble. But I guess that's not happening because we have Ma Rainey. But Ma Rainey is separate.
But I mean, but
Ma Rainey's not really
but Viola repeated.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
That is
but Viola
true. She did.
She
So
did.
like, you know, there might
She
be an
did.
opportunity for us to see different actors repeat, right? If Glenn Turner
Like some
might turn
Chuck
up in
Cooper
this,
in there.
right? You know, like, so, you know, like I remember the Green Space readings kind of did that, right? Where the Green
Yes.
Space readings
Yes, that
had
was
like
so
the,
So
awesome.
good.
that was like, that
So
actually
good.
solidified
Didn't
for
you? That
me.
happened because of you. I
Who
went
was-
because of you.
Oh, I'm about to say,
Because
like, that didn't
you-
happen because of me.
No, like I was
went,
like,
yeah.
I went to that, and it was because of you. And I don't remember how. I think you were just like, "Hey, I have things.
Yeah,
This thing is
I
happening."
just got out of school and I gotten tickets. Yeah, because I knew Awoya
like-
was one of the co-producers. Yeah.
that was
But that
cool.
was just amazing to see, like the quintessential. Some of them are the
Right.
original cast. Some
Right.
of them they brought in some Hollywood people. It was like a beautiful mixture. So,
Mhm.
Like I would love
like,
to see.
yeah,
I would love to see what happens like in the revivals, or if this is the plan to revive them, and then whatever. Like for example, like I would love to see where Courtney B. Vance, who was the original Corey, fits into the canon now that he's older, and what role and what play he would be in now. Like that. To me is
Yeah,
like, I want to see that.
yeah. I want,
that's
you
what
know,
I want
and
to see.
yeah. So that's what we want to see. Do you care, Denzel? Probably not.
Probably not. And I'm
Or
sorry
maybe
for
he
going on your
does.
son. I need to stop coming for people. I really got to stop coming for people. And it's not even like I just, because I'm sure that I am. Well, people come for me too, but I just
CC.
All
see. I mean, but to me, it's no sweat off my back. I'm like, if you like it, I love it. If you like it, cool. Like, it's not my opinion. Who am I? My opinion doesn't matter. But I do need to stop coming for niggas. Because, like, what if I meet this nigga one day and I'd be like,
I mean, what if you end up in a show with him and someone?
Probably would. If I ended up in a show with him and we got cool, I would be like, so we need to talk about Malcolm and Marie, my brother.
But what if like CC comes for you and like videotapes this whole section and like then puts Chaser on Twitter and like it's too late, like it's already.
I mean,
he comes
this
to first
is
day
recorded. This
rehearsal.
will be on the Broadway Black website.
So
I mean, of course, I have to stand by everything I say, and I do think
do.
that like
You do.
actors do have this thing of like, I'm not talking bad about him. Like, I just don't like this. I don't like that part, and it wasn't a good showcase of his talent, and it was my only exposure to him. So I do want to see more, but it's just kind of like, you know, we're all artists. Aren't we supposed to critique each other? I don't like doing the critique in the small circle where everybody's throwing shade in the text message thread, and then when they get in the person's face, they're like, oh, no,
Talk about
like,
it.
critique makes people better, and I think I need to need to work on is how I organize my thoughts when it comes
Sure. Calling people trash is not necessarily critique. Trash is not critique. Right.
No, the movie.
So.
The movie was trash. The movie was trash. I just am gonna say I don't have a critique for the movie. I hated it. I hated the film. I didn't like it at all. It goes in the garbage.
Amazing.
But the performances, I can be more nuanced. When I talk to, because I also don't know what it's like to be in a position of. I've never made a feature fucking film. I've never been in a 2-person play situation. I don't know. You know, I wasn't there, so I do think I should give more grace. But anyway,
why not? Speaking of grace, this is not speaking of grace, but select Broadway venues are to come back in April for select performances. I say question mark because I'm confused about that. The step towards reopening as part of the New York Pop-Ups initiative also includes programming at flexible performance spaces like St. Anne's Warehouse and the Apollo. While Broadway shows are raising the curtains, may remain on horizon, their venues will soon offer signals of hope and signs of life. Select Broadway venues, beginning with the Music Box, will welcome audiences beginning in April as part of the New York Stage's New York Pops programs. And they will all offer mostly, that shit better all be free. Anyway, mostly free pop-up style performances to the public through Labor Day. No word yet on the exact programming. The degree to which performance details will be released ahead of time will vary on account of both safety measures and impromptu nature of the initiative. So we're opening shit back up, performances outside.
For famous and rich people, like how?
I think that first of all, free. obviously we have to start testing out some things. I think testing out smaller pop-up performances is I think could be a good way to figure out how, one, if people are interested in even seeing this shit, because they could be like, hey y'all, we're in Times Square, and people are like, we don't care, we're not coming, you know, or people going to be coming out in droves to see like how the world feels about attending things. I just think I think it's kind of smart to do it that way, as opposed to being like, all shows are back.
Right.
It's smart. I like that it's free. I like that it's pop-up style, but I just don't know. There's this disconnect to me with, I know that like on one hand, like we need to reopen, you know, the Broadway producers, they need to open their shows, because more shows, the longer we're closed, more shows are going to close, because they're still, to my knowledge, paying rent for these spaces.
Wow.
So Drew Champson is over here like Nederlanders, Schubert.
Yeah.
That's why the Schuberts giving so many grants. They're like, well, we're still getting our checks. So here you go. You get a grant. You get a grant. But like my thing is like, you know, if it's pop up, like who's seeing these performances? Is this impacting the community in a way? Because I feel like now we do have to start thinking about those things. It's more than just reopening. It's like what we're going to do when we do reopen. So like my fear is that like, yeah, this is free. It's a pop up, but like who's going to be attending these performances? You know what I mean? Is this like, are we still operating in the like Black Lives Matter type of thing that Broadway was operating in like spring 2020, summer 2020? Or are we just back to like capitalism and like trying to reopen, and it doesn't matter who sees the work or who has access to the work? And that's just kind of like my fear. And I know it's just a pop-up and it's an experiment, but even the talent that's up here is all fucking white. So that I see.
Yeah.
Other than Danielle Brooks, she better be working, and Billy Porter. Unless I'm confusing one of these white names for no. These are all white people that I see. So,
yeah, Gavin and Shoshana already did, I want to say, the pop-up events. Yeah.
And I like Gavin and I like Shoshana. I love all these people. But yeah, I think that that's something to think about, you know, like who's seeing these performances, who's performing in these performances, like who is this for? And if something as small as this that's free can't be changed a little bit, then when we open, it's just going to prove the point that everything is just the fucking same and everyone was just bored and had nothing to do. And that's why, you know.
Yeah, I'm interested in this. I mean, it says also here, Empire State's pop-up program is led by Scott Rudin and Jane.
I saw that.
So I'm also like, yeah, it's like
the Music Man.
Don't forget about the Music Man.
You know, the first thing I thought of when I heard about this, I was kind of like, ooh, I wonder if they're gonna bring Broadway on. Y'all remember Broadway on Broadway?
Yeah.
It was at the beginning of each season, they would have all the, and then if they're going to use that, if that's going to be an also opportunity for these shows, whether they started in previews or whatever, or did to like just pop out and be like, remember, we're still here. Here's a number. Thank y'all. And just to see how it's responding, to see how it works to get to gather artists back together again. And see how that, I wonder if that's going to be a way for them to just start doing teasers and shit.
Yeah, I mean, if it's led by him, is it going to be diverse where you're going to get to see a mixture of things? Or is it going to be Scott Rudin's greatest hits? Like, you know what I mean? You know, you know, so I'm interested in like with the names. I'm interested in what it's, I don't think it's going to be community centered. I doubt it's going to be.
They do have some venues in here though. Like I might eat my words. I didn't see this. Did you say it? Harlem Stage, the Apollo, La Mama, and National Black Theater?
Yeah, so it's also involved. Okay,
so they do have those venues.
Okay.
Which is cool. I'm just interested in seeing what kind of entertainment. I think that this is a cool way to, instead of putting the spoken word at, La Mama, maybe we put it at the fucking Music Box, a way to kind of diversify the energy of art that goes into these places, because we have this whole idea of what Broadway is and what it's not. And this is the opportunity to change what that idea is. And I think that this pop-up thing is a cool, inexpensive way to take that risk. Like, can this person here standing with the mic take up this space? And is this like for them to experiment? But it is Scott. Love him dearly, but you know he about his paper, so
Right. So, but maybe the other people who are going to get to host are going to get to really control what they get to do, right?
Yeah,
So,
that's
if
true.
National Black Theater is getting to control what they get to do in Harlem Stage and the Apollo, you know, you might get sort of an array of stuff. So that could be exciting. We'll see. Question mark if we're all alive. Moving right along. Speaking of things when they come back, the Book of Mormon is in the news today. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm still trying.
Hello!
You guys are funny. We are wondering, the Book of Mormon's Black actors push to change the portrayal of Africans. So there is a rumor going around, yes, that the Black cast of Book of Mormon, when it comes back, is looking to change the depiction and the stereotype of the Africans and how of the Ugandans and how they are depicted in the show. And so, in theory, when this comes back, are we going to get a revival? I mean, I don't know what it is when it's like when it closed because of like a global pandemic, but it has not been on the show. It has been closed for about a year and a half. So the big question mark is: are we going to get a new, better, less problematic version of, or updated in general of the Book of Mormon, as far as its depictions of the Ugandans? Kim has gone to the bathroom for conflict of interest, so it'll just be me and Jason Veazey talking about this.
Great,
What do you think,
great.
Jason?
Well, I think depending on the show, or any show really, has had a great opportunity during this pandemic to, I will hope they would, to kind of reassess some things if they are interested at all in reassessing. You know, honestly, when you use the word revival, it's actually no different. How many revivals do we get where they're kind of like, this is a West Side Story for 2021? So it's really not that. They do that all the time.
Right. My Fair Lady, they changed the ending.
Right.
Cabaret is the same show, but they've conceptually, they completely redid it. But like, I would say like, and, even Porgy and Bess, Susan Laurie Park, got permission to like update the book a little bit, right? The problematicness of the book of Porgy and Bess. So this is an interesting thing where the actors went and the actors brought it to the attention of the creators, and that's really, and from what I heard, they were actually open to changes, which is something that you would think is like, no, it's already a hit, and why would we do that? But like, well, we actually sucked all the money we possibly could out of it, so let's see if we can suck some more money back out into it. And with 2 TV writers, that is actually the culture of TV. So with those 2 writers, like, it's actually really interesting that this is actually a discussion. This is not this actually may be happening. And this is a discussion of like how it can be updated and how those depictions can be modernized, which is just really interesting.
I think it also speaks to, assuming that they're involved, Matt and Trey, they do have receipts of on other projects or in general about them being vocal in the past like 7 years about just speaking out about things. And I feel like it also speaks to them, if this is true, if they're willing to work on it, they also know, they're kind of like, and also whatever changes are going to be are still going to be funny. Y'all still going to laugh. So relax.
Yeah.
We'll just find something else offensive to say.
I mean, that's the other thing too. What's really interesting to me though, is about the asking of changing it, because I'm like, it's always been offensive to Africans. I'm African. That shit's offensive. I've always found the show offensive and not really been interested. Right. I'm not particularly interested in the show. I know people who've originated the cast and like took the check and were ashamed of doing the show.
Sure. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So like, so it is to me a sort of interesting sort of like place that we're getting into now, where it's like the conscious of the actors are now getting to them about doing the show, because the show was always what it was. Right. And it's not like it's, at least to, though there is a line between satire and offense. And again, that line in comedies, whatever, I think it is clever, but I do think it is offensive. Right. And so, but Trey and whatever, they come for everybody. Right. And so like, but again, it's like, there are no depictions of Africans on a Broadway stage unless they're, a bush warlord in Book of Mormon or an animal in Lion King. Those are our depictions of Africans on the stage. You know what I mean? That are long right.
And when it's not those shows, they're Africans who are going through it.
Right. And the shows are not long running, right? So like that's sort of us in the off-Broadway space who can or cannot make our plays like get our shows on the Broadway space. You know what I mean? Not necessarily asking for that, because that seems like a whole different monster that I'm still not sure that I want to participate in as far as the Broadway model, as far as that goes. But that's just really interesting, right? Like I think the other offense of that is that there is not any African representation on the stage, and this is your representation, like, you know what I mean? Like, right. And so like there is an offense of that show that has actually always been spoken about. Yes. That's not new, right? That's never actually been new. And so the idea of it now being brought up by the actors, where it's like now they're going to do it. Half of me is like, okay, cool.
Yes. So I do think I find this happens a lot. Mm-hmm. I know people are going to come for me, but in this day of like wokeness or whatever, we're all on that journey. We are all on that journey. Sure. Because you were Black does not mean you came out the womb being like conscious. Like, that's not how that works, right? Sure. So I feel like this could also be representative of a group of people being like, we were a part of something. We aided in something. Mm-hmm. Is there something we can do to keep the check coming, and also maybe correcting some things that we are, because the thing is that there were no Africans in that OG. Correct me if I'm wrong. I think you're not in lead parts. No, not lead parts or the ensemble. Well, that's not true. I don't know the ensembles. I don't know, so I can't. Yeah, that's one. There is one, but like I'm wondering if that's also maybe as a collective, because I think a lot of us, whether it be because of my male gaze or we're all relearning or sloughing off shit that we didn't blink an eye at before, or that we were part of or contributed to. Because I'm going to be the cynic. Yes, please. Right? People did blink eyes. Actors actually did blink eyes. They knew exactly the show that they were in. They knew it was problematic. Some of them didn't tell their parents about it because they knew like, but I'm going to. Yes, and so we are in this really, again, interesting time where people know that they're in shady stuff. And like, what's the line? This is the big question, right? What's the line between like, and again, I'm actually for people getting their checks. We're in a capitalistic society. I'm in the theater industry. I am no better, right? I'm not Moses in this thing. But I do think that there's something really interesting about are people going to ever let it cost them anything? I've been asking that question a lot. That's the big question. Because what is your boundary? What is this going to? Because I'm like, we knew that the show was offensive. If you don't want to say yes to it, Austin, say yes to it. But it's like, are we going to let anything cost us anything? And so there's just that really. But again, it's desperate times. It's whatever. So it's like, you're right. It's like, how can I do better and still make this work for me? Right. So I do appreciate that. And you might run into, and as individuals, we might run into a situation where you're like, I don't think that can make this better and also get a check. And so are you going to be like, I'd rather step away? I'm not casting any aspersions on what the choices that people make. Right. Because I understand all choices. Yes. I understand all choices. But I think this is a perfect example of how much is this movement worth to you, and how much is the community worth to you compared to yourself. Right. And what's your angle? Are you going to work from within? Right. Are you going to say, fuck it, burn it all down? Yeah. And do you know what it means when you say that? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure. And so that's just what's really interesting. So for me, I'm like, this is just artistically really interesting. The idea of someone changing a show that is essentially a machine. Yes. Yeah. Right. Because I'm like, then that also gives, and really white people, right, who will change, like Black people who will force white people to do that, who will change the successful show, when in theory, my instinct says, the playwright in me says, nigga, I'll change my show for you. But I go, but what do these white people do? What, I'm going to be a troublemaker right now. What changes the Hamilton cast from bothering Lynn to go, hey, my problematic light-skinned Puerto Rican friend, can we do some stuff now that you got the bars, So, I'm like, you're what? Enough. Let's you can do it. I saw Moana. You got. Speaking of remix, Lynn, you have 9 cast remix albums of the shit. Can we, so I'm like,
like I'm about the Pandora's box because it doesn't apply to me. You know, it doesn't apply to me. I'm not on Broadway, so I'm about this Pandora's box of like the actors like I want to take my show back in a less problematic way. So this could be really interesting. That's all I'm saying. All right, Kate's back. She's back from the bathroom. We're moving on. I can't hear you. Are you muted?
I added a wing to my
I was just about to
eyes.
say, I was like, yeah, and you added to the beat.
I was like, I want to try a wing.
Beautiful. Yeah, so I'm super excited for what it will bring. We shall see. We shall see what it does. All right, moving right along. I don't know that this is theater news. I felt like it's for the culture, so we had to talk about it. Pose is ending after season 3. That's it? That's it for Pose? What happened?
I mean,
are they busy? Like, what's happening?
I don't know.
Like,
Ryan Murphy's busy. Sorry,
I
Boo.
I mean,
about it,
always.
At first, I was kind of like, oh, yeah, but then I started thinking about it. There are 2 reasons why I think I'm not mad at this choice.
Mm-hmm.
One, I don't think we need to historically, once we get past season 3 with Ryan Murphy products, things start to go downhill anyway.
Sure.
And 2, I wonder because of the time period and what a lot of the characters are dealing with, we're gonna start seeing characters fall off anyway. Some of them really shouldn't be here for season 3. Based on
Pray tell, he should be gone.
Not because of Shay, but because he wasn't taking his medicine.
No, because he's not taking his medicine. Did y'all watch It's a Sin? I didn't watch It's a Sin. I just read the synopsis because it's way too sad for me to watch. I'm
choosing not to watch it.
It's a Sin. Everyone is. It's one season because they can't have another one because everyone dies essentially. Mm-hmm. So like that is one of the interesting things about Pose is like none of the main characters who like no one really like they didn't want to, but I also understand them not wanting to kill anyone off because it's the first kind of show of its kind. But I do think that someone's gotta go. Someone's gotta go. I disagree with this. I like what Pose is. I think It's a Sin is It's a Sin. That show was on the mind of that writer for years. He did Queer as Folk and he did another show in the UK. He did Queer as Folk in the UK before they sold the property, I think, to the United States. But Queer as Folk, he did something else. He had like a few age shows that he did in his canon. And that writer also wrote for Doctor Who for a long time. But anyway, he wanted to do that for a long time and he wanted it to be that one season and tell that one story because it was dear to his heart, you know, and that was a part of his experience as being gay during the 80s and the AIDS crisis. Whereas Pose is a different thing, you know, like Pose, yeah, it takes place in the same time period, but it's encompassing a totally different underrepresented culture. I don't think we do have a lack of AIDS stories in the limelight. You know, I wouldn't say there's an abundance of them, but we do see white AIDS.
That's not true. We have a lack of them that feature and center on Black and brown people.
Right.
But I don't think there's a lot of AIDS stories in general. Like when we're talking about stories, I don't think that I could say there's tons. Like in general, there's not tons, but we do have a focus on white gay men. You know, even watching like Drag Race, I'm like, God, all these queens are fucking white. Whereas Pose is focusing on ballroom culture. It's focusing on trans girls, and it is what it is. And I think that what it is, it's beautiful. I just disagree with saying what it could have been. Like Pose is, I love Pose because it is this. It's a little messy. I
could also see them not wanting to end and not focus on trauma based off of people dying of
because they're doing a time jump from what I understand.
There is a time jump, but I also could understand if this is in their head being like, let's not go into that realm. Let's stop it and end on maybe some sort of joy or something before we get into the trajectory of what a lot of these characters inherently would be facing.
I mean, well, I actually think that's actually where they started. They started actually at the height of where that would be, what they would be facing. And then for me, I was actually interested in the show being maybe getting a 5-season arc because I was hoping for like, because I also felt like it was a show that was really artistically finding its footing. Like aesthetically, it had it. It was really like getting some really exciting performances. I felt like I was getting to watch actors like new actors grow as actors, and so I was excited to see them become better with like each season, and the writing also get better, because from what I understand there were new writers and new executive producers, right? So I was excited to just see the growth of the culture of this, but also the growth of their talent. And hopefully maybe they're busy because they're doing other stuff, but I was excited to see, because I felt like I got like every episode for me got better and more interesting. So I'm bummed about it, because I just felt like I just thought it was a cool show.
I think it's a cool show, and I wanted it to go from Paris is Burning to How Do I Look? Have y'all seen How Do I Look? I think that's the name of that documentary, where it's like the only. I think Dorian Corey's still alive. I think Paris LaBeija, isn't that her name? Pepper LaBeija. Sorry, I said Paris LaBeija. Paris Dupree. Pepper LaBeija. Pepper LaBeija is still alive. I think this was taken in like the late 90s. But yeah, I thought that it was going to give like an arc of that. Right, because you had like, you had these queens dying from AIDS, and then you have these queens dying of just like they didn't take fucking good care of themselves, and they got like diabetes and shit like that, and had heart attacks and stuff. Like, not to say they didn't have HIV, but you do have this arc of like watching these queens get older and die. Like it would have been nice to see something like that, because like Cece had just said that Ballroom evolved by 1994. Which I'm not an expert in ballroom culture by any stretch of the imagination, but just from like the stuff that I watched, it would have been a cool transition to, because they're in 1990 now, right?
No, I think
for
it's 90,
season 2.
I think it's 90
or 91.
I think it might even be 91, 92, maybe.
Yeah. Oh my god! Oh my god! Yes, for 27 years, and you became mother of the House of LaBeija. That's amazing. Cece, you can come for me anytime. Anytime.
I'm not gonna co-sign on that, but
I don't think she needs permission.
True, because she's a mother. Was the mother of the House of LaBeija. I can't. I will, but I don't know.
It seems like from everyone's statements, it also seems like it was something that took some thought. It doesn't seem like anything was cut off.
Right. It seems like maybe this was the plan to do this like 3 episode. Because sometimes it's like, I mean, I'm excited to see how it crowns and how it ends. Because sometimes, an executive producer or creator is like, actually, I only see it for 3 seasons. I don't need the full 5. I don't need this full 6 or 7. And so they see it for the time, and they know exactly how they want it to end. And so they're just going to give it to us how they want to give it to us. And if we want more stories, we're just going to have to make more stories, essentially.
Bring it back
This is awesome. Come on, Cece, with the history and the yes. Come on, working on Pose. That's pretty awesome to me, because I'm one of those girls who like, I watched Paris is Burning and I was obsessed, and then like I was trying to find the culture wherever I could find it, because it's hard to find if you're not like in New York City and you're in the ballroom scene. It's hard to like. All you get from Paris is Burning, you watch like the Sally Jesse Raphael interviews, and you watch like, you can watch ballroom scenes on YouTube and things like that. But at the time, it wasn't like, it wasn't like it is now. Like, it wasn't super mainstream. So I think it's just super cool that like, I don't know, just being a part of that culture. It's like, I don't know. I just find it to be so fucking fascinating and dope. That and like New York City club kid culture. But anyway.
Well, we will miss it. We will all be tuning in and probably be talking about it, probably on the show, most likely. What else? This is also a reminder to do your jobs. Audience, if you are in fact watching the show, if you have some listener letters, get to it, ask questions. There's a wealth of knowledge here, mostly on Jason's side. And so just ask about us, do your jobs. So speaking of events, I didn't have a lot of events that are happening, but I did want to talk about L. Morgan Lee has a new show called The Circle. Yes.
The circle.
Yes, join
The
Obie
Circle.
Award. No, Maggie Smith. She's better than that. Join Obie Award-winning actress Ella Morgan Lee as she welcomes guests from a variety of backgrounds to The Circle to share their stories and experiences, taking the time to see and hear them and allow all of us an opportunity to check in and perhaps learn a little bit more about ourselves. I feel like she's already had an episode, yes?
The first one dropped.
Oh, dope.
Mhm.
And where can we check that out? I feel like we can check that on YouTube. Yes, so
We
you can
can check that
find
on YouTube,
Instagram,
Facebook.
I believe. Yeah.
awesome. So you
El Morgan will be. She's on it in 3, 2, 1.
Yes, I wish El Morgan was over here producing this show because I was like, oh gosh, I could bring up the video, but then I have to download the video and then put the video. This is why I have to read. This is why I should have read the thing all the way to the end.
yeah, so please check out Ella Morgan's show. She is expanding to host, diversifying her portfolio. So check her out on the U of the Tube. Ella Morgan Lee, The Circle. Ask about her.
Mhm.
That's
Oh,
That
Cece's
is
also
true.
giving us history. The first
Yes.
and only Black trans woman to win an Obie. That's history.
That's El Morgan Lee. Yep.
Ask
Come
about
on,
her. I
first
ain't
and
got no
only.
Obies. She got Obie. Watch her damn show.
I can't. I also want to be El Morgan when I grow up. Like, I'm so for real.
Don't date her.
The
We don't know how old she
boys.
is. She might want to be when she grows up.
And
No,
take that period out after that L.
Take that, take that period out. El Morgan, not El Morgan. I understand you. We're whole ass clowns. So this is also just another reminder. Audience, people, remember, if you want to do I Said What I Said, you also have to sign up and email us. Where are they emailing us at, Kim?
You're emailing us at offbook@broadwayblack.com. Offbook
Yes.
at broadwayblack.com. Email us.
Yes.
Share your stories. Share with us.
Look,
Share with
stars,
us.
Shoot your
stars are
shot.
stars are not just made on Clubhouse, y'all. Like, do your thing.
Child,
Come
that's
here.
Clubhouse. You know what's funny about Clubhouse? Ezzy randomly opens it. Like whenever she has my phone, she randomly opens the Clubhouse, and she somehow gets out of it. But she gets frustrated because, like, you know, they still talk in the background. So she's like trying to watch YouTube, and it's like Clubhouse. I'm like, how are you getting into these rooms? Like, it's very weird.
What's the room that she randomly?
It's always
Is it a
a
moan
stop.
room?
into.
Is it a moan
Yeah.
room?
No, oh my god, the
Is it the
moan
shoot your
room.
shot room? The shoot your shot room?
Shot rooms.
I'm not gonna lie. I listened to the shoot your shot room just to be like, okay, what do I have to present?
never
What do I have to
been there.
give? Yeah, it's really interesting. It's mostly Africans because we're out of control. So I went to a Nigerian one, and they were like, "Hey, God's gift. Tell us what you are giving. I am looking on your IG right now. Oh, she's a scrumptious babe." And so I was like, I'm probably not gonna be in that room because I'm not giving enough thought
Scrumptious
action.
babe.
She's a scrumptious babe.
Is that like
Um,
a common thing, or do you just say that?
No, I don't say that. That's not an
Who
Ngozi slang.
says that?
The host, one of the hosts. This is like, babe.
Oh, they literally said that.
I was imitating. Fine gal, no pimple. Like that's literally that's what the Nigerians are giving you.
Can you give
That's
us like a short play of people on Clubhouse. Like, give us a play about this room on Clubhouse. Like, just a short, like 3-pager. Like,
they're like, come, Kelechi, she has no kids, 2 goats, and a huge diary. Come. I'm checking her out, son. No, it's really it's like an auction block, so it's super problematic.
that's what the play should be called. Auction block.
And they think it's about slaves, but it's about Nigerian patriarchy. And guys, I've just figured out how to get on Broadway.
Via
I didn't
Clubhouse.
know. And
Clubhouse. It should start as a Clubhouse production.
Clubhouse room, okay, with Michael Blackson from Coming to America too. See how we brought it full
He
circle?
would probably kill that part.
He would call the part as that.
He
Like,
would
she's a scrumptious
kill that.
babe. I'm gonna add that to my tag. Scrumptious
Please.
babe.
On your
What did
email?
what did someone call me
Because
last
his email
night?
is
Last
like,
time? Yeah, on my email it says artist, African rascal. I'm going to add, what did someone call me last time? Random and transparent.
Yes,
Random and transparent.
Which is like, yeah, I'm gonna own. That's okay with me. I'm not offended by that. Random and transparent. And then we're gonna add scrumptious babe. There's gonna be an evolution.
Random and transparent, scrumptious babe. Listen, I can't. I love it.
Based off of the goals that we talked about off book, scrumptious babe
might be the. Okay, all right. I'm gonna work in some things next week. You will all be. What did the kid saying?
I don't know.
Gagged.
Gagged.
Gagged. Yes. So I'm gonna work on some things. We're gonna see what we're gonna do, and it's gonna be amazing. Do we have any listener letters?
No, we don't.
You don't have a list. Do you have any questions in the chat?
Questions?
I don't mind wrapping up. What does Cece say? Cece says, Ngozi, I'm turning your play Homecoming Queen into a musical, and I need Kim to get those Nigerian accents together.
I can't be in that.
Colorism once again. You see how colorism keeps getting
colorism.
First Book of Mormon. Then Kim got my part in this first generation Nigerian part in the thing I auditioned for, and now she's recast in my play, the musical. There, I thought you were a warrior for justice. I thought you were a warrior for justice.
One injustice. Just call my agent and she'll set it up for you.
Y'all, if you don't get any questions in the next,
can y'all give us some questions? I will say, like, this is random, but I bought some of Ngozi's plays. Oh, well, I bought her plays last week. I'm like, I think there's only 2 published, right?
That's true.
Which is a lot because some people only do the one.
Okay. I'm into it.
And I was reading like the intro, like when she's talking to the director of the play, and it's just in her voice. It's like
Homecoming. For Homecoming?
Homecoming or Good Grief?
Oh, Good Grief.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just in her voice. Like, it's just like this little blurb that's just like, I just imagine you talking to me. And I was just like, this is because, and then it says like, anyway, on to the play, like, or something like that. It's like, da-da-da-da-da. This happened, but it's also fiction. But it did happen. Thank you for participating in the work. I've said enough. On to the play. Like, that's kind of, I'm paraphrasing, but that's kind of like the gist. So I was like, oh, okay. I like that this is in, I guess I liked reading that because I don't know. I don't really have a lot of playwright friends or know a lot of playwrights. So I think it's cool to hear stuff in your voice. You know, like, it's not like you put upon, hello, darlings, welcome to my play. You know, like,
I'm not gonna lie. As I'm writing more plays, I am attempting to become Lynn Nottage, which is fun. So I am like trying to be like, how can I be more Maya Angelou about it? And it just never works out, you know? So like now I'm working on my newest play. I'm like, I'm going to give you a poem before this play starts, and like it's so like I'm like, who? And I went back to it and I literally was like, who wrote this shit? Like this intro, who the fuck do I think I am? So the first couple of players are super like, oh, this is me, and like this is like what I tried to do, and like even Homecoming was like, this is a play about this, but I couldn't do that, so I did this. Enjoyed the play. You know, and then the next one's like, here's a profound poem. And then it was like, and then literally like, who do I think I am? Just read it. And so like, I'm trying to keep it my voice, but there is like a weird, because as I'm like in readings as an actor, or if I'm reading a lot of plays and I'm reading like these forwards or these like really like beautiful, like just like beautiful, like poetic intros, I'm like, ooh, I want to do that. And I'm like, no, I can't. That's not me.
But it's like you as an actor, but you as a writer is different. But I like that. I like that you're not all. It's like when I tried to be Angela Bassett in that voiceover, like it just doesn't work. You know,
or when you tried to be Maggie Smith when you were trying to do.
I think I should put on my resume really good at doing impressions that aren't accurate. Like really, I don't know how to phrase that, but if I found a good way to phrase that, I'm sure a casting director would say, hey, what is this about you doing impressions, but they're not good, or they're impressions of someone else that you don't intend for them to be? How
about you're really excellent at fragmental impressions?
Fragmental, like I have a fragmental Bernadette Peters.
Right.
Of a
aspects
frag
of. I'm good at
aspect,
interpreting
an
aspects
idea of.
conceptual.
I'm a conceptual artist. You know, it's like if you put me in a red wig and a name tag that said Bernadette Peters, then you would understand that I was her. But I don't know. Maybe it will work in a snatch game though. Why am I obsessed with Drag Race now? Like I'm so late. I'm like so late to the party. I saw like the first couple seasons and then dipped off. What? Where? Oh, here. Oh, we got something. Ngazi, what has been your entry point for writing material, photos, news, etc.? I hear a lot of the just write advice, but that's not enough.
That's funny. The first play, for good grief, it's pseudo autobiographical. So the first play is actually based on an event in my life when I was 20, which was yesterday. Something in my throat. My best friend had passed away when I was 21. And so the play was written essentially about that time and about me sort of like being young and getting over like the first death in my sort of like young adulthood that I had to kind of like work through. So a lot of my stuff, and that's the only like autobiographical play that I have. A lot of them though are based off of like events or like just thoughts. Homecoming Queen is kind of based off of when I went back to Nigeria, my father then when I came home from Nigeria, my father then kind of talked to me about how he wants to be buried, you know? And so I kind of had this thought about, what would it be like to like have to go back to, you know, and it's usually put on the eldest daughter. I'm not the eldest, but I'm the one who's sort of more in tune with being in Nigeria. But I'm like, what would it be like if my sister had to go back to Nigeria? So, and so that's kind of like the impetus for like the inspiration for that. You know, Nike is based off of a poem but a photograph I saw of this Greek goddess that was in front of Zeus. And I was like, who's that? It's like, that's Nike, the goddess of victory. And so I wrote this play about like Zeus coming back into the world and he can't win without Nike, which is like this little black girl who doesn't remember who she is.
Can I buy that one?
Published, yeah. That one hasn't been done yet. Yeah, we're trying to. It's got
really, really good.
It's very black and it's got 10 plus black people and nobody will do that play. But we'll see. Maybe they will now.
I have a question.
You could do it on Clubhouse.
I could do it on Clubhouse. Maybe I should. We'll talk about that. Go ahead.
The character of Nike written to be played by an actual girl?
Well, we actually so far in the readings have been doing it as a woman, but as the play now is evolving, you know, like now it's actually like a girl who doesn't remember who she is. And then the play kind of ends with her being like a grown woman and the president of the world.
Okay.
You know, like
so
of the world.
Antichrist. Correct.
No, but she like gives like, but she essentially, I won't tell you how it ends.
Yeah, I want to read it. I want to hear it on Clubhouse.
I mean, maybe we'll do that. That actually might be fun. And Guzzy has sold out and gone. I mean, you can't really sell out because it's
you can't because there's no money there.
Shit's free. No one's getting paid. No one's making money. It's not monetized, but the white man or whoever is in charge of Clubhouse is somehow benefiting off of this and has $1 billion valuation. And I want to know how I can get a $10 valuation.
I'm sure that we will literally see an article about this on like The Cut soon. Like how Clubhouse's founders made $1 billion in 6 days, like some crazy shit like that.
You know what I mean? From getting my play. Anyway, Park Avenue Armory, holler at me. Okay, what was I saying? Yes, so those are the inspirations for like a couple of my plays, and so only one is autobiographical, but a lot of it is very personal. So it's, you know, a lot of it is like, what would it be like to be like a leader? You know, what would it be like to go back to this? And that's sort of like the inspiration for how I
what you're saying
try and create my plays. Mm-hmm.
Is that you use your imagination.
Indeed. And mostly like and my family, like a lot of it is like, you could probably spot my dad in most of my plays or like my uncles or like my friends. You can probably spot them because I try and also really write in a contemporary vernacular or like, and how people talk. So I really want to try and like, depict that and also talk about how people care about each other. I feel like we as Black people don't do that enough in plays, you know what I mean? So, you know, like there's not a lot of stuff is like story oriented, and I feel like my plays are more like people trying to be with each other and talk about how they love each other or how they're frustrated with each other. And so it's a lot of the stuff is like stuff that I maybe I'm not courageous enough to say, I'll put it in a play.
Cool.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Also, just some news. Cece is going to be joining you at the Rattlestick for a writing workshop.
Oh yeah, the Actors Who Write workshop. All right, so Cece, we will kiki and we will talk about all the things.
She can't wait to pick your brain. Be careful.
I was about to say, stay vigilant.
Stay vigilant.
I'm just saying, like, I charge because I do this for a living.
I charge.
If you want it outside the workshop, but if we in the workshop, we'll kiki because I'm not rich yet. Yes, but Cece, we'll talk. I feel as though me and Cece are going to be, I don't know what our future holds, but I feel as though she will be with us.
She's gonna be in it. We don't know how, but we know she's gonna be there.
Yeah. Okay. So I feel like that's
our show.
Broadway Black. That's our show. We talked. We laughed.
We hit our mark.
Mommy, I'm gonna stab you.
Yeah. Ezzy's done. So I think that means that we too are done.
Ezzy's like the state Patricia being like.
I think you mixed it.
She's like, "Are you finished, mommy? Are you done?"
I'm ready for chicken nuggets.
I
I
think
don't know what you guys were doing.
Yeah, so this is Broadway Black. We have hit our marks and we're ready to go. I'm Ngozi Anyanwu.
I'm Jason Vesey.
And I'm Kim Axum. And I'm gonna hold this because I have to get the thing up in the song.
Yes.
Here we go.
There's only one place to
Hey,
find
got it.
There's only one place to hear
I
the
just
greatest.
fixed
There's
your
only one place for
eyes.
your
Yeah.
information. It's the Talk Podcast.
I love it. I love to dance.
No other hosts like me. Come check it out. You'll see.
Bye.
Peace.
Oh, damn it.